The conversation around Destiny and Leticia has now reached a point where things can no longer be ignored or brushed aside. What we are seeing is not just a simple disagreement between two people, it is something deeper. It is about how their connection started, what it was built on, and why it now seems to be falling apart in front of everyone. When Dustin Ross shared his opinion, it did not just add drama, it added clarity to something that many viewers had already been feeling but could not fully explain. He said that Destiny and Leticia did not come together because they truly liked each other or because they had a natural bond. Instead, he believes their connection started because they both had issues with Melody. And when you really think about that, it changes everything. Because a friendship built on dislike is not the same as a friendship built on respect, trust, and care. It may look real on the outside, but on the inside, it is often weak. When two people connect over negativity, it creates a temporary link. They feel close because they share the same frustration or opinion about someone else. But that connection depends on that third person. The moment that situation changes, the bond starts to shake. This is exactly what Dustin was pointing out. He was not just talking about one moment or one argument. He was talking about the full picture. Looking back at how Destiny and Leticia interacted over time, there were always small signs that something was off. At first, it may not have been very clear. They laughed together, they supported each other in some situations, and they appeared to have a friendship. But when you look closely, there was always a certain distance. It never felt fully natural. There is a kind of comfort that comes with real friendship. People who truly care about each other do not have to force their connection. They can sit together in silence and still feel at ease. They can disagree without crossing lines. They know where the boundaries are. But with Destiny and Leticia, that comfort did not always seem to be there. Dustin mentioned the difference in energy, and that is something very important. Energy does not lie. You can say all the right words, but your body language, your tone, and your reactions will always reveal the truth. When Destiny and Leticia were together, there was often a tension that could be felt. It was not loud, but it was there. It showed in small ways, like the way they looked at each other or how they responded in conversations. Then came that moment that changed everything. The comment that Leticia made was not just a small mistake. It was not playful shade or harmless joking. It was something serious. Saying that she would put Destiny in a box, especially in a public setting, crossed a line. That kind of statement carries weight. It shows how someone truly feels deep down. Claudia Jordan made it very clear that this kind of behavior is not acceptable in a real friendship. When respect is lost, it is very hard to bring it back. Trust is even harder to rebuild. Once someone shows you that they are willing to speak about you in that way, you start to question everything. And this is where Dustin's point becomes even stronger. Because if the foundation of their relationship was not solid to begin with, then moments like this are bound to happen. They are not random. They are the result of something that has been building over time. It is important to understand that people do not usually say things like that without a reason. Words like that come from feelings that have been sitting inside for a long time. Maybe it was frustration, maybe it was jealousy, or maybe it was something else. But whatever it was, it did not start in that moment. That moment just revealed it. Destiny's reaction also says a lot. She did not look comfortable. There was a clear shift in how she carried herself around Leticia after that. When someone you consider a friend speaks about you like that, it creates distance. You start to guard yourself. You become more careful. You are no longer relaxed. When you compare her behavior around other people, the difference becomes clear. She seems more open, more natural, and more at ease. This shows that the issue is not with her personality. It is specific to that relationship. And that again supports the idea that something was never quite right between them. Another important point is the idea of emotional care. In real friendships, people think before they speak. Even in heated moments, there is a limit. You may argue, you may disagree, but you do not try to hurt the other person deeply. You do not cross certain lines because you value the relationship. But when that care is missing, it shows in the way people talk to each other. Harsh words come out more easily, respect starts to fade, and once respect is gone, the relationship starts to break. This situation also reflects a bigger pattern that we see not just on television, but in real life as well. People often come together because they share a dislike for someone else. It can feel strong at the beginning. It can even feel like real friendship, but it is not built to last. When the focus is always on a third person, there is no space to build a true connection between the two individuals. They do not learn about each other deeply. They do not build trust in a meaningful way. Their bond stays on the surface, and when the situation with that third person changes, they are left with nothing holding them together. That is when problems start to appear. Small issues become big ones. Differences that were ignored before become impossible to ignore. Dustin described this as something that people could see coming, and that makes sense. When you watch their interactions over time, there were signs. Maybe they were subtle, but they were there. It's like watching something slowly fall apart. You know it's going to happen, you just don't know when. Now it feels like that moment has arrived. The cracks are no longer hidden, they are visible for everyone to see. The question now is whether this relationship can be fixed, or if it is already too damaged. Repairing something like this is not easy. It requires honesty, accountability, and a willingness to change. Both people would need to admit what went wrong and work to rebuild trust. But that only works if there is something real to rebuild.
If the foundation was never strong, then there may not be much to save. Trying to fix it could feel forced. It could feel like holding on to something that was never meant to last. Some people may still believe that Destiny and Leticia had a real friendship at some point, and it's possible that there were moments where they connected in a genuine way. But even if that is true, it does not change the importance of how it started. The beginning of any relationship matters. It sets the tone for everything that comes after. If it starts from a place of negativity, that energy can stay present, even if things seem good on the surface.
Right now, what we are seeing is the result of all of that. The tension, the discomfort, the harsh words, all of it is connected. It is not just about one comment or one argument. It's about the full story. As viewers, we are watching this unfold step by step. Every interaction adds another layer to the situation. Every reaction reveals something new, and it keeps raising the same question. Was this ever a real friendship? There is also the possibility that both of them were aware, at some level, that their connection was not as strong as it seemed. Sometimes people stay in relationships because it is convenient. It fits the situation at the time, but deep down, they know it is not solid. That can create even more tension, because when you are not fully secure in a relationship, you become more sensitive. Small issues feel bigger. You are quicker to react, and that can lead to moments like the one we saw. The public nature of the situation also makes everything more intense. When things happen in front of others, the impact is stronger. It is not just between the two people anymore. It becomes something that everyone is watching and talking about. That adds pressure. It makes it harder to handle the situation calmly. Emotions run higher, reactions become stronger, and that can push things even further in the wrong direction. At this point, it is clear that something has changed between Destiny and Leticia. Whether it can be repaired or not is still uncertain. But what is certain is that things cannot go back to how they were before. Once something like this happens, it leaves a mark. Even if they try to move forward, that moment will always be there in the background. It will affect how they see each other and how they interact. This is why Dustin's commentary has had such a strong impact. He did not just point out the problem. He explained why it may have happened. He connected the past to the present in a way that makes sense. And when you look at everything together, it becomes easier to understand. The tension, the discomfort, the comment, the reaction, all of it fits into the same pattern. Now the focus shifts to what happens next. Will they try to fix things, or will they go their separate ways? Will they address the real issue, or will they avoid it? Whatever happens, this situation has already changed how people see their relationship. It has brought hidden issues into the open, and once something is out in the open, it cannot be ignored. In the end, this is not just about Destiny and Leticia. It's about understanding how relationships work. It's about recognizing the difference between a real connection and a temporary one. Because not every bond that looks strong is actually strong. Sometimes what we see is just the surface, and it takes moments like this to reveal what is really underneath. Right now, it feels like the truth is coming out. Step by step, piece by piece, everything is becoming clearer. And as the situation continues to unfold, one thing remains certain. The foundation of any relationship matters. And without a strong foundation, it's only a matter of time before everything starts to fall apart.
As this situation continues to unfold, there is another layer that cannot be ignored, and that is how both Destiny and Leticia may have viewed their own connection from the beginning. Sometimes people enter a friendship without fully thinking about why it feels strong in the moment. It can feel natural simply because there is agreement, because there is shared emotion, or because there is someone else they both focus on. But that kind of connection can be misleading. In the early stages, it probably felt easy for them to align. When two people see things the same way, especially when it comes to conflict with another person, it creates a sense of unity. It feels like support. It feels like loyalty. But that feeling can be built on a very fragile base, because instead of learning about each other deeply, they are spending most of their time reacting to someone else. Over time, that creates a gap. They may know each other's opinions about a situation, but they may not truly know each other as individuals. They may not have built trust in the way that strong friendships require, and when that happens, the connection cannot grow properly. It stays limited, and eventually, that limitation starts to show. This is where the cracks begin to appear more clearly. Small disagreements that would normally be easy to handle suddenly feel bigger. Misunderstandings become more frequent, and instead of resolving issues smoothly, things start to feel awkward or tense. That is often a sign that the relationship does not have a strong enough foundation to handle pressure. What makes the situation even more complicated is the history behind it.
When people have been connected for a while, there are shared moments, shared conversations, and shared experiences. Even if the foundation was not strong, those memories can make it harder to walk away. It creates a sense of attachment, even if the connection itself is not healthy. That may be part of what we are seeing now. There could be a mix of emotions involved. On one hand, there may be frustration, disappointment, or even hurt. On the other hand, there may still be a sense of familiarity that makes it difficult to completely let go. And when those emotions exist together, it creates confusion. This confusion can lead to mixed signals. One moment, things may seem calm or even friendly. The next moment, tension rises again. It becomes unpredictable. And for viewers, that can make the situation feel even more intense because it is not clear where things truly stand. Another important factor is pride. In many situations like this, pride plays a big role. Admitting that a friendship was not real or not strong can be difficult. It can feel like accepting a loss. It can also feel like exposing vulnerability. Because of that, people may try to hold on longer than they should, or avoid addressing the real issue directly.